everyone. This is Elizabeth with Scott Leroy Marketing, and welcome to DocuSign 101. Today is February 7th, so if you are viewing the recording, some features may have changed. Today, I am starting out in Google Chrome Incognito, which once you're in Google Chrome, you can click the three dots at the top right and choose New Incognito Window. And we're starting out in command, which is agent.kw.com. So we'll sign in with our username, generally something like first initial, last name, maybe a number, capitalization not required. Then we'll enter our password and click sign in. So today we are going to cover the introduction of DocuSign. So how to access DocuSign through command, access your blank forms, fill them out, share with clients, and submit them to the Market Center for compliance. First, we're going to check to make sure your DocuSign account is connected to command. You can do so by clicking your name in the top right corner. Then select Settings. Now, your screen may look a little different than mine if you do not already have DocuSign connected. You may be able to find it down in the productivity section with a not connected status. So you just want to click that blue connect account to get that started and connected right away. Now, if you do have any trouble with this, feel free to send us an email. We'll be happy to help get this created, get this connected so that you are able to use DocuSign in command. Now, here are the notes posting in the chat for not only today's class, but also various quick tip videos that are related to DocuSign, and the opportunities class, which is kind of the precursor to DocuSign 101, and DocuSign 201, which goes on to some further things you can do with DocuSign, like creating templates. So the before and after of this class are down at the bottom. And again, that Google Doc is shared in the chat. I will also say here are some written steps of what we are going to be covering today. So feel free to look back at not only the recording for the video steps, but this document as well for the written steps. So back over in command, we're first going to head to contacts. I'll give you a quick rundown on how to create, because this is the first step of accessing DocuSign. So within contacts, you're either going to add contact with a name and an email, or search for your contact and click to open. Now, we do recommend creating a contact that's a sort of test for yourself so that you can see the process from start to finish as the consumer would as well. First question, no, don't go to DocuSign directly. You'll want to start this process by the contacts applet. Second question, there is a field named date signed that is or can be added to the documents. If you're using an interactive form, that will already be populating for you. You can remove using delete on the right-hand side, but typically if that's added in, that is needed for the document's sake. But I'll cover that a little more once we get into the DocuSign room and document. So again, you may want to create a test contact with your information, another email address, so you can separate yourself as the agent and you yourself as the client. And once you're in the contact record, if you head over to the Opportunities tab in the right-hand section, you'll see all of the previous opportunities that have been created for this client. So good to create the opportunity from the contact record so that you can make sure you're not creating a duplicate. And then we'll click Create Opportunity. Now, for more information covering contacts, check out our database management class, and it'll go more in depth in contacts. So second step is to create the opportunity. The 3 quick steps I want to focus on are the opportunity type. Now, this cannot be changed later, so you want to make sure this is 100% accurate. And for this example, I'm going to choose listing, but for your example, you can choose any. The second reason we highly recommend creating the opportunity from the contact record is the client is already filled in. So it saves you some clicks by creating the opportunity from the contact record. But that's the second field that you want to pay attention to. The third is commission rate. So this is required. Something does have to be entered here. We recommend either your average, your market center's average, or the area's average, but this can be changed later. So not super duper important if you need to change this later. Then you'll click Create. For more information on all of those other fields, check out our Opportunities class, and it'll go more in depth of how to create what all those fields were for opportunities. Now, once you have your opportunity created, it'll show up here in the timeline. So you'll just want to click the title to open, and it'll actually open in another tab, which is really nice. And this will take you to the Details tab. Slowly but surely. There we go. Needed a refresh. Okay, so this is the Details tab. This is where you can edit all of those fields from the previous little embedded pop-up, like the commission rate I mentioned, using the little gray pencil in the top right of the section here. Now, the reason I chose a listing as an example, because it does have this button to select from listings, which slides out KWLS 2.0 from the right-hand side, where you can then search for your property address. I always recommend changing the show to all listings. And then select. Now, what that does is it auto-populates the property section here in the middle of the page. Now, of course, if you do have a buyer type opportunity, you won't have this button here, but once you know the property information, you can edit this section again by the little gray pencil in the top right corner. Next step is to click the Documents tab. It's going to be in this white menu towards the top of the page. And select your checklist type. That can be found in this black text over on the left-hand side. Now, your options may look different than mine. These are created by your market center, but you would choose the checklist first according to which one is needed for the opportunity. And once you select that, you'll see the folders auto-populate, the document checklist, and all of the details. Now, it's really important to select the checklist before starting the transaction, which will take you into DocuSign, because all of these blue squares, and again, your screen may look different than mine, but this is noting that this document is going to pull into your DocuSign room. So in order to save you some clicks, make sure you pick the checklist type first so that the checklist populates. And when you go to create the DocuSign room, the forms will pull in depending on what your market center has created for you. So third step in getting to DocuSign is simply clicking Start a Transaction. Now, for me, I will see both DocuSign and .loop created, but your options may be different. You may not have a dropdown if only one is connected. We do recommend not connecting both, even if you have both, because sometimes the connections can mess with each other. So if your office is using DocuSign, I'd only connect DocuSign. And if your office is using .loop, I'd only connect .loop. If you're not seeing that Start a Transaction button, I would recommend Google Chrome Incognito or Mozilla Firefox Private, Mozilla Firefox's version of Incognito, so that you can see the fully optimized version of Command. You may also have to zoom out or scroll over if your screen is smaller than mine. It may not be shown right away. If you use a transaction coordinator, it depends on what you have them do. If you choose to have them start the opportunity, they can, or you can do this yourself as well. Correct. If you don't see the little blue box next to these checklist items, no DocuSign documents will pull in automatically. That's set up by your market center. So I'm going to choose DocuSign, and you'll see the little wheel, and it will open up in a new tab. So if you have pop-ups blocked, you'll want to allow those, and you may have to reselect that button. Once you click that button once, it will then change to Go to Transaction. So you can also click Go in order to open up that new tab. Now, this will prompt you to log in your first time visiting every day, because DocuSign does reset the logins overnight for security purposes. So you'll want to enter your DocuSign email address, which may or may not be a KW email, and click Continue. And then you'll enter your password and click Login. And that will take you into the DocuSign room that is automatically created from your opportunity. So you'll see all of the information is pulling in. all of the documents that my Market Center has set up to be pulled in are pulling in. Now, if you need to add more, like for example, here, I do have the exclusive right to sell, but if I didn't have it, I can click the blue add button in the top right corner. And we highly recommend using DocuSign Forms for the interactive version. But of course, if you do need to add a document from your computer as well, you can select that first option. You'll then see a little embedded pop-up. Now, your screen may look different than mine. These groups are set up by your Market Center, so you may have different groups. And you may be part of a different board or state than I am, so your libraries may be different. If you're not seeing any documents in the room quite yet, you'll just want to click that add and then choose DocuSign to get this little embedded pop-up where you can then either manually look for the document or search by keyword. Now, real quick settings update. If you are not seeing any documents or you are seeing no access in that embedded pop-up, follow me over to your profile picture or initials in the top right corner and click Preferences. Once you're in Preferences, you can click Integrations. And this is where you can connect your zip form account. For example, if you're a California agent, or you can click Add Provider to add any of these boards or your NRDS ID if you're not seeing your board here. So for everyone outside California, Georgia, Oregon, or the Northwest MLS, you'll want to use the NAR tile here and add in your NRDS ID. Now, I will also say if you need this step completed and or are having trouble with this, feel free to email us and we'll be happy to help connect your NRDS ID or CAR, etc. ID to your DocuSign. We can also help with zip form as well. So if you are needing to connect your zip form account instead, we can help there. Now, one more settings update, again, going to your profile picture or initials in the top right corner and manage profile. You will want to go to privacy and security and disable both of the device verification and two-step verification so that your DocuSign account doesn't have any glitches when connecting to Command. So once clicking privacy and security, you'll see it prompts for your password again. You may have to enter a verification method. And again, you want that two-step and new device off. So you would just flip these little toggles to off so that your DocuSign is properly connected to Command. Now, to get back to your room, you can either click Dashboard or Rooms. I like Dashboard because it'll have the recently viewed rooms up top where you can click on, or even the new rooms section where you can click on your room really easily. Now, I will also say, now that this room is created in DocuSign, you can log in, for example, tomorrow, if you need to access this room, you can go straight to realestate.docusign.com and log in to access that room. So here is where you can go straight to DocuSign once your room is already created. So back in our room, going back to the Documents tab, which is the second tab in the second menu. That is correct. If you link your CIR account for forms, you won't need to link zip form as well. So back in our room, after doing the NRDS ID and two-step and device verification updates, you would simply want to start editing your forms. So you can click the first one, or, whatever order you would like to edit them. Now you will see some of the fields already populating. This is pulling over from the opportunity in command. Just yet another reason to start your transaction there first. Now, on these interactive forms, you won't see any signature dates or initials just yet. You'll see these in the envelope, which I'll show you later. So don't worry about editing or adding in those. Just focus on the fillable fields throughout the form. We do recommend saving often. For example, if this is a contract that's, 15 plus pages, you'll want to save and close frequently so that you don't lose any of your info that you've already added in. So let me do some editing to this form here, just so I can use it later. Great. So now that I've edited my form, I can save and close. Now, if you do need to print that out to take it to an appointment and have your client not electronically sign, hand sign, then you will want to save and close that document and then open it back up. Click the little document actions, which is the little dog-eared paper in the top right corner, and print. Now, this option is going to be here before you save, but if you print before you save, it won't print with your edits. So you do want to save and close prior to coming back in and printing. So now that we have this document all updated, you would want to repeat the process for all of the other documents that you need to send to your client. For example, this lead-based paint, you may need to check it to make sure all of the fields are populating correctly. The seller estimated proceeds, all of the documents that you need to send. Now, once all of your documents are up to date, you would want to check off using the little checkbox in the top left corner of the document. which ones you want to send to your client for signature. So I'm just going to check off all of them so you can see how it looks. And once you start checking off documents, you'll see a little taskbar populate towards the top of the page with some icons. And you'll want to choose Create Envelope. It's the little pen with a line. So imagine that we're going back a few years and actually doing this by hand. We're filling in all of the documents with pen on paper, and we're going to need to snail mail these over to the client for signatures. Goodness, why is this? There we go. So this step is creating the envelope to do so. It does automatically give you an envelope name, but we do recommend editing this so that in case you have other envelopes, you'll know exactly what's in this envelope. By checking off all of those documents in the previous step, they will automatically populate here in your envelope, but you can also add more. The next thing you'll want to do to your envelope is add your recipients. We do recommend using pre-tagged roles, and I'll show you why on the next screen. So we'll want to choose all of the options along the right-hand side and click Add Selected. Now, of course, if you do need to remove someone, you can hover over and click the X and then delete. Now, you can also change the order in which the clients or recipients receive this envelope. So, for example, if I wanted the client to receive it first, and then, my broker to receive it second, I would change the numbers in this left-hand box. If you needed to add someone like a lender or title or transaction coordinator, you can also add by email address and then enter their name here and then their email here, and then maybe even change their permission from needs to sign to either needs to view or receives a copy. Last couple of fields are not required, but you can edit the email subject and email message. Yet another reason why we recommend creating yourself as a client to run through these steps so that you can see how the default subject and message look before you go creating anything additional here. Now, once you have your envelope prepped, you'll click the Next button in the top right corner. And you'll just want to run through these documents to make sure not only that all the fields are filled in, but also that the signatures, dates, initials are placed properly for you. So you'll see the seller is yellow, which you can also match up in the top left corner. So for instance, I didn't select me as the agent for this section here. I can switch to my color and place a signature and a date. Going back to that second question I received, if you do need to delete a field, you can click to select and then click delete on the right. If you do need to add in any, for example, let's say I forgot to check this box and fill in this section, you can drag over fields from the left-hand side, like so. You know, whichever field you need here. And remember the color scheme. So this is blue because it'll be me as the agent. And I will fill this in when I receive the envelope. You can switch to another person by clicking the drop down in the top left. Now, if you do need to go ahead and edit these prior to you signing, you can double click to edit or even edit on the right-hand side and change all the settings for it, formatting, you know, even any tool tips. Then going on down, again, reviewing all of the other documents that are being pulled into this envelope, making sure they're all ready to go. There's the fun seller's disclosure, all of the fields filled in, ready for the seller to fill in. You can see that because it's the yellow, which is my seller. If you can't switch to another person, this is pulling in from that previous screen, the Add Recipients section. Now, we do recommend checking the Recipient Preview, which can be found in the top right corner, so that you can view as, you know, whichever client you choose, whichever view you choose, and make sure that all of their signatures, initials, and fields are pulling in properly. Now, of course, this doesn't sign for them or initial for them. This is just the preview. And once you're done with this preview, you can click the gray X in the white header. Just be sure not to close the entire window. You'll want to do the X lower down. And then once you're ready to send that, you can click the yellow send. For the W-9 question, feel free to send us an email, since that is a particular account question and document question, and include your username and password, and we can help troubleshoot that for you. Now, once you send off the envelope, you will be then taken back to the Envelopes tab, where you'll see either the list of envelopes if you have sent more than one, or just the one that you've sent. You can also toggle between the list view and the grid view. Yeah, on that last screen is where you can pull in the text field from the left-hand side and place it on your document while you're doing signatures. So you will be then brought back to the Envelopes tab once you send off that envelope. And if you added in yourself as the agent for signatures, you will receive an email with that. You know, it'll look just like your clients will as well. In my case, I've chosen for myself as the agent to be listed as the second receiver. So I'm not going to receive that email until my client has signed, which that is what I'm doing now as well. But with that, you can also go ahead and click into this envelope again if you see needs signature. So you really don't have to wait for that email address or email to come in to your email address. You can go ahead and open the envelope and click to sign as needed. And let me just wrap up signing as the client now, so that you can see what it looks like. Okay. So now let me refresh this page. Sorry, is there a buzzing noise? Oh. All right. Still waiting for others, so let me come in here. Well, it's not loading just yet. There it goes. So now it has come in. It does need my signature as I am the second recipient. So I'll click the envelope to open and click sign. So that will open the envelope for me as the agent and run through all of the documents. You know, here's my required field, click to sign. And it'll have all of the initials, signatures. You will see the dates auto-populate. And then I can click finish to complete that. So now that it's gone through not only the client, but also the agent, we're going to see the fully executed envelope is now a different color. And when we go back to the Documents tab, again, in this second menu here, well, we should, let me refresh again. Yes, there is a way to change the time zone. That's going to be over in your preferences. No, I'm sorry, your manage profile. Now, if it's your client, they'll have to update that in their settings on their account if they created one. Yeah, you're welcome. There we go. After a few refreshes, we now see that there are different types of forms within our DocuSign room. We were just seeing the blue form option, but now we also see the green signed option. And there is a PDF of the certification of signature. This is where you can see the tracking of the signing, and even perhaps the, time zone, IP address, whatnot. So now that we have our signed documents in our DocuSign room, we'll want to head back to Command, which again is just in another tab. And again, we don't see that start a transaction anymore. We do see the go to transaction now that we've already created the DocuSign room. The next step is to add in the documents to match up with the checklist. So since we have created the DocuSign room, we will attach files from DocuSign, but you can switch this over to my computer if you need to. Now, the working folder doesn't auto-populate here. You will need to select the folder. And this is pulling from the DocuSign room. By default, the folder's name is Room Docs. But if you create any additional folders to organize your documents, you'll want to select the appropriate folder. Then you'll start matching up the documents with the drop down next to each checklist item. And this is not pulling up. Let's refresh this. There we go. So for agency agreement, I'll want to select exclusive right to sell. For the cyber protection. Now I will also note here that now that one is chosen, you'll see it disappears from this list. So as we're going down, selecting all of our documents, our drop down will be shorter and shorter. Yeah, I do the example for listings so that you can see the select from listings button, since that is missing from the buyer's side, the buyer's type, I should say. So now that you're pulling in all of your documents from the DocuSign room to the opportunity checklist, and you'll see my list is getting shorter and shorter as I go down. You'll now see that the Submit to MC or Market Center button is now blue and can be clicked. So once you have all of your documents added in, good to go, and you're ready to submit for compliance, you can click this blue Submit to MC button so that your office can then review all of the documents for compliance. You can view the recording later this afternoon on our website, slmtraining.com, or our YouTube channel, youtube.com/ScottLeroy Marketing. So for when or how often to submit not only this listed folder, but also under contract and close, be sure to check with your market center. Some may have policies like within 3 business days or, within a week of signatures. It really differs from office to office. So be sure to check with them on the market center specific policies around submitting for compliance. Some may also, as soon as you have the listing agreement, add in submit and then submit a second time for the other documents. It really just depends on your office policies. So be sure to check with them so that you're familiar with those timelines and deadlines of submitting not only this listing folder, but the under contract or closed folder as well. And then once you're on down along the transaction path, you'll go to offers and commissions and close out the transaction. So for further details of opportunities, be sure to check out our opportunities class. But that is it for DocuSign 101. Be sure to join us this Thursday at 1 p.m. for DocuSign 201. Of course, if I didn't answer your question or you think of another question later on, feel free to contact us and we'll be happy to help. Once more, here is the Google Doc with the class recordings and quick tips and written notes links. And here is our YouTube channel where you can subscribe and be notified when we do upload today's class. And here is our website where you can access our contact information. So thank you for joining and hope you all have a wonderful day.